Is it time to turn to the young gunslinger Khalil Wilkins to play quarterback for the West Virginia Mountaineers football team? Well, after this past Saturday on what happened against Utah, many fans seem to think so. I've even agreed with that. Do I still feel that way? We're going to talk about that in this episode of Couz's Corner, and I'll give you my explanation as to why I feel the way I feel. And we'll have that conversation right now, so stick around. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top-shelf college sports news and analysis around the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Big 12. After what we saw Saturday against Utah, many fans, myself included, have said, hey, we need to turn to Khalil Wilkins to be the starter from now on. The offense moved with him in the game. They scored 2 touchdowns with him in the game, and we're not able to do anything with Jalen Henderson behind center. And I think most fans are assuming that Nico is not going to be back for this game against BYU. So the thought is, hey, let's go with the young guy. Let's go with Khalil Wilkins, the guy who made the offense, who gave them a spark and who were able to move them down the field and even throw a touchdown pass. And I agreed with that. Do I still agree with that? Not necessarily, and I'll explain why in just a minute. But first, let's go ahead and talk about what we saw in that Utah game. Obviously, Jalen Henderson got to start, I assume, because of his experience and what they had seen at practice. He was 3 for 7 throwing the football, only averaged 3.1 yards per attempt. So he was basically just dink and dunk stuff, a lot of screens. No touchdowns, no big-time throws, 3 turnover-worthy plays out of only 11 dropbacks. That's not good. He did fumble the ball one time. And the offense just looked clunky at times with him. You know, I don't know if he was making bad reads. I don't know. For whatever reason, he just was not attempting to throw the ball down the field. Maybe the receivers weren't open. Maybe the O-line wasn't blocking for him good enough. I don't know the answer to the question. Probably a little bit of all the above. But he was not even attempting to throw the football down the field. At least when Khalil Wilkins got in the game, he threw the ball down the field. Now, some of that could be related to the defense Utah was playing. And without seeing the all-22 film and viewpoint of the coaches, it's hard to know that for sure. But you can kind of assume that Utah had probably called the dogs off, so to speak, weren't bringing as much pressure, which made life a little easier on Khalil Wilkins, I would imagine. And they likely also had some subs in the game for most of the second half because of the blowout. So, we need to look at that too. But at least the offense had a spark. At least they were moving down the field. He completed one big-time throw, Khalil Wilkins did. He had a couple other opportunities to hit some throws. One of his receivers dropped the ball. I would say there were 2 drops. One drop was kind of an inaccurate throw, but it was catchable. That was the one to the tight end. I think it was Ryan Ward maybe that dropped it. And he had a couple of throws he'd probably like to have back as well. But overall, Khalil Wilkins, at least, the offense did something with him in the game. They did something. They looked like he actually gave us a modicum of hope that the offense may actually be good going forward. And that because of that, fans are thinking, man, he should be the guy. But let's look at the PFF grades, and they show us the same thing. Now, Khalil Wilkins' PFF grades are not as high as you'd think. Offensively, his overall grade was 57.8. His passing grade was 57.9. His running grade was 58.7. I mentioned he did have the one big-time throw. He did have a drop by one of his receivers. And he had 2.37 seconds to throw the football, which is not a ton of time. Here's Jalen Henderson's day. He was 3 for 7, 42.9% completion percentage. I mentioned 3.1 yards per average attempt. By the way, Khalil Wilkins' average per attempt was 10.5. Jalen Henderson had 0 touchdowns. Out of 11 dropbacks, he had 3 turnover-worthy plays. That's not a good percentage. It's 25%. It's too high. You cannot have turnover-worthy plays on 25% of your dropbacks. His PFF grades, 35.3 overall, the lowest of the entire offense. 32 passing grade. 51.2 run grade. And then he had the fumble, which gave him a poor fumble grade as well, of 27.4. I mentioned he had no big-time throws, had 3 turnover-worthy plays, and he only had 3.2. He only had 2.25 seconds to throw the football. Now, is that because he held on to he got rid of the ball quicker, or is it because he didn't have as much time to do the offensive line? Probably a little of both. The offensive line did not play great, but they didn't grade out as bad in pass blocking as previous games, which I'll get to that in a second. But I mean, just the eye test alone, without even looking at the PFF grades, the eye test alone showed me that Khalil Wilkins seems to be a better quarterback. He looked more poised. He didn't look like the moment was too big for him. He looked like he knew what he was doing out there. Looked like he had command of the offense. He looked like he was naturally should be the guy. But again, that's only what we as fans are seeing. We're not seeing the all 22. We're not seeing the defensive scheme or at least not able to, analyze as well the defensive scheme that the defense is in at the time he's in the game, because we're not seeing the whole field. We're not watching the film that the coaches are watching. So maybe all of that had something to do with that. And you also add in the fact that Khalil Wilkins, they had made changes on the offensive line when he was in the game as well. They actually brought in some subs on the offensive line. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to give you my reason as to why I don't think he should start despite all the things we're talking about. And we'll do that right after this word from our sponsor. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code COUZ. That's code COUZ to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. Plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Thank you for letting me get through the housekeeping. And thanks to DraftKings for supporting what we do here on the show. Now let's go ahead and jump over to the PFF grades of the offensive line. Okay, I think that's important to talk about here as we look at these numbers from the quarterbacks. When you look at the pass blocking grades, all right, left tackle Nick Cray, who played 64 offensive snaps, had a 56.4 overall grade, a 56.3 run block grade, and a 52.3 pass block grade. Okay. Carson Lee, who started at center in place of the injured Landon Livingston, had an 81.1 pass block grade. So really good. 56.5 in run blocking, 59.5 in overall offense. Left guard Walter Youngbear, an 83.4 pass blocking grade, 50.7 run blocking, 54.8 in overall offense. Now, those three guys were in the game pretty much the entire game. Well, with the exception of Youngbear. He actually played 52 snaps, whereas Carson Lee and Nick Cray both played 64 snaps each. So Youngbear did get subbed out some. Tykeus Crawford, who started at right tackle, but only played 31 snaps, had a 58.2 pass block grade. His replacement for much of the game was Malik Agbo, who played 35 snaps and came in and had a 79 pass block grade. Khalil Wilkins was a quarterback for most of those snaps, if not all of them. Maybe that means something. Donovan Haslam played right guard some in the game in the second half, had a 65.5 pass block grade. What did Kimo Canioli have? He had a 65.6, so about the same. But, oh, by the way, the run block grade, Donovan Haslam was a 47.9 compared to a 54.4 for Chemo. So Chemo actually did better than him in run blocking. The other offensive lineman that saw some time was Josh Isosa. He had a 69.1 pass blocking grade, a 56.6 in run blocking, and 57.1 in offense overall. So the moral of that story is a couple of the linemen that came in relief for some of the starters actually played better in the pass block game than the guys they replaced. Now, in all fairness, Josh Isosa only played one pass blocking snap, so that's probably not fair to use his numbers. But, I mean, heck, they only threw, 13 passes total anyway. So, probably not fair to use anybody's numbers, right? But anyway, point being, it's possible Khalil Wilkins got a better performance from his offensive line while he was in the game. But again, it also could mean because Utah wasn't bringing as much pressure. How much did that play in here? I think it's fair. We have to be fair about this. We still haven't seen Khalil Wilkins in a full game. I still think he's the future, and I definitely think he needs to play in the game against BYU. Even if he doesn't start, I think he needs to play, especially if Jalen Henderson or whoever starts is not able to play well. We look at run grades. Jalen Henderson carried the ball 12 times for 37 yards, averaged 3.1 yards per carry. Run grade of 51.2. Khalil Wilkins carried it 9 times for 39 yards, 4.3 yards per carry. Run grade of 58.7. So he had a better performance on the ground. Had 3.22 average yards per carry after contact, whereas Jalen Henderson only had 1.75 yards on average after contact. So Khalil Wilkins did a better job breaking tackles and making people miss, those types of things. So Khalil Wilkins was the better player passing. He was the better player running, and he was the better player overall in moving the offense down the field. But was it against Utah's best lineup? Was it when they were bringing more pressure? And was it behind the same offensive lineman? All of that needs to be taken into consideration. But the main reason I don't think he should start in the BYU game, it's nothing to do with his ability, nothing to do with how well he played or how he played in the Utah game. But when you look at the fact that they're going to be on the road in Provo, Utah, one of the most hostile, if not the most hostile environments in the entire Big 12, late night, the crowd's going to be loud. They're going to be strong. They're probably going to be sold out. Your team's already struggling to move the football. It may be a struggle. Your offensive line you're still trying to figure things out up front. Do you really want to put a young redshirt freshman quarterback in that situation? A primary job of a coach in any sport is to put your players and your individual players on your team in the right positions to be successful. Are you putting Khalil Wilkins in a position to be successful when you throw him out there in front of that crowd in that environment on that night? I'm not sure. And maybe you are. And whatever Rich Rod does, I'll trust it. But it's just my gut feeling that we'll see Jalen Henderson start again, assuming Nico can't go, of course. And if Nico's able to go, then I would probably put Nico back in as a starter in this game. I just don't know that I'm throwing Khalil Wilkins out there in that moment as a starter. Now, like I said, unless Jalen Henderson or Nico, whoever starts, is just performing great, then I'm bringing Khalil in the game at some point. But I don't know that I start him. I don't think it's the right situation, and so I've changed my mind on this. I don't think you throw him to the Wolves quite yet, even though he showed poise, even though he showed his ability to run the offense. This BYU defense is going to be hungry. They're going to be aggressive more than likely. They're going to be good. One of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the entire Big 12. So it's going to be a tough game for this West Virginia offense, especially if the O-line continues to struggle. And I just don't think it's a great situation for a young quarterback to be asked to be the guy in that spot. You may disagree with me. If you do, let me know in the comment section. And if you agree, let me know. I want to hear your opinion. Your opinion matters to me. Want to also take this opportunity to give a shout out to my paid VIP members, some random shout outs. One of the perks of being a paid VIP member are the random shout outs. We have 2 brand new paid members, Brian Siders and Freezing Apes 2000. At least I think they're new because I do not remember seeing those names before, but I want to give you both a shout out for being new paid members here on the channel. Other paid members to shout out in this episode are Big E7375, Kenny Evans, and Al Walker. Thank you all for being longtime members here on the channel. If you want to be a member, hit the join button below on your, if you see it. If you don't see it on your device, go over to my channel homepage. You'll see it right beside my logo / profile picture. There's also a link to join in the description of the video. I want to remind you that you can hit the thumbs up button on this video. There's also, if you're watching this on a mobile device, there's a hype button below. Between the download button and the thanks button is a button called hype. You hit that button, it really helps me out. You get 3 of those a week, so use them wisely. But if this is one of your favorite videos, then please hit that button. It'll really help pump my content out to more people. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Please turn on your notifications to be notified of future shows and future live streams. Don't forget about the comments. Also, a shout out to my other sponsor here, Appalachia Digital, the folks who designed the website over at wvsportschat.com. Go to appalachiadigital.com/Couz. If you want them to build you a website or level up your current site, they can do that too. Thanks to you for tuning in, whether you're watching or listening on podcast platforms. If you are listening, please give me a 5-star review and follow us at Couz's Corner on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite platform where you get all your podcasts. Thanks again for your support. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. God bless you. And Q Country Roads. West Virginia,